Okay, so I'm watching Interstellar, and I thought it was one of those movies that I've seen when I was younger, but I just forgot that I saw. Um, Similar experience to what's it called? Um, I don't want to say paradoxical, not paradoxical. Fuck, what's it? I forget what it's called. Predestination. There we go. That's one of those movies where I think I've seen but before watching it, I think I've seen parts of it before, but not in a sense where I've sat down and I've watched the movie in parts, or I just saw it in passing. But I think I've seen like clips online, and that's what made me think I remember it. By the way, if you could hear a bottle, that's me breaking down a box of snacks that I have, and I'm stuffing it in a water bottle. Um, the cardboard for it from it. So, uh, but I didn't see that movie, but it was a good movie, and it was very it's a complex yet very simple movie. Once you kind of get part way through it, you kind of realize the 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 twist slash not twist. I can't spoil any of it though. I don't want to spoil any of it. Like even telling you a part of it would spoil all of it. If you even if you watch like the first 5 minutes of it, you could possibly get the twist. Um, like the first 5 minutes kind of spoils the entire twist. It's just you kind of just slowly figure it out through the movie. Um, but I'm watching Interstellar right now, and it's making so obviously I don't know the entire story around Interstellar, like if there was a book, or if there were more movies, or if there was supposed to be more, if there was more to this movie that was cut or something. But um, I'm finally watching it, so cool, cool. This is not one of the movies that I've seen, this is not one of the movies that I've seen before. It's my first time watching it, but I'm thinking again. I think because of when I was born and the time that we're in now and the things that we can do now, we could solve all of our issues for humanity. Not in the sense that like, oh, we solve it for everyone because we're altruistic and we want peace and everyone have prosperity, but in the sense that existential shit we can solve, as in food scarcity, like in terms of like in Interstellar, um, crops just stop growing. They just stop. Like the only thing they can rely on now is corn. You know, is the only thing they have left, and there's like dust everywhere, basically. Um, but obviously, without food, we all die, right? But in our time, right now, we can grow food inside. They don't need to be outside at all. You know, at least from what I've seen. But if we can grow food inside, then that solves that. Water can essentially be taken from anywhere. There's a machine that a guy built that, fun fact, he wasn't killed for it. It's one of those things where the dude wasn't killed ever. He made something revolutionary. But last I heard, he made it and people use it for like emergencies. It's for like emergency things. Like if something happens in the area, one sent out or something. I don't know how it works. I just assume that's how it works. But I don't know why you wouldn't be able to just buy it. So, like theoretically, dude should be a fucking billionaire. No matter how much you sell that machine for, when you buy it, that's basically free water. And all you have to do is maintain the fucking machine and have clean air that you can siphon the water from. You know? Um, but, but yeah, like it doesn't make sense. Like if you can make a machine, it doesn't make sense for there to be a limit on how many you can make. That doesn't make sense. That limit should be dependent would be dependent on the materials you're using, you know. It's not like he's using some fucking hyper rare materials. Pretty sure it's just all the shit that we've used for every machine or most machines. It's just used in a different way to make a different machine. You know? A computer is made of a lot of standard materials that we all use. They're just put in a different way. They're just put together in a different way, in different sequences, at different volumes, to create a computer, a laptop, a desktop, a phone, you know? But again, back to what I was saying, I think the due to when I was born, 99, you know, technically, uh, 4 months and 5 days, or 4 months and 6 days before 2000, um, I just see the solutions as using technology, essentially existing through technology. You exist because your brain exists. So all you really need is for your brain to keep existing, and you can keep existing. You don't necessarily need your body. And in my opinion, it's kind of a recursive loop. Your your brain decays because it exists within your body, which decays over time. You could rejuvenate the body, but I think it would just be easier to cut off the head and maintain the brain in the head rather than maintaining an entire body. It would take less resources, but you still get all the benefits. If anything, you get more benefits because you could exist through a clone or through a clone or an android. I would say an android preferably because it's just a machine. You know, it would be just a machine that you could have a team of robots they maintain. You know, over centuries. Eventually, you would learn the information, or you would simply just have instructional manuals of the information. You know, and then eventually you would memorize the steps to fixing yourself, to fixing different things. You know, it's like if you had a manual on how to build a computer, you know, from literally nothing to gathering the materials, to putting all the materials together, to making the chips, to making the machines that make the chips, all of it. You would eventually memorize how to do all of it. All all the hundreds of thousands of steps to make it from scratch. Literally nothing, from nothing in your hand to raw materials to laptop or computer right in front of you. Same thing with the body. Same thing with an Android body in terms of making it, fixing it, maintaining it, you know. But easiest solution is to have robots. You know, they would most likely they'd just end up maintaining themselves, and they would help maintain you, and you all just exist. You all coexist happily. You know. In all honesty, there isn't really any issue. There are no real issues with humanity. It's just our perspective. Eventually, everything dies. So one could say that speeding up that process is the most altruistic thing you could possibly do. But in reality, just like in theory, um, understanding that if you go through a black hole, you may end up on a planet where every hour there is years back home. So when you go back to your ship, you're now watching 20 something years of footage from back home, as well as seeing someone who's aged significantly because you were gone for so long. From your perspective, it was only a few hours. From their perspective, it was years. forgot where I jumped from there. How I jumped from that. Or fuck. I was saying something and then I forgot where I jumped from, if that makes sense. But oh yeah. So it's easy to say speeding up the process for humans, for human extinction, is fine because it's the most altruistic thing. It just makes sense because everything dies, and ultimately there's a possibility of you being at peace when you die if you don't choose to come back. You know, go up, talk to the source, essentially you from the future, past, present, all in one. The source, the Big Bang, and then come back down once you choose to either redo your life or do another life, you know, or come back as someone else at a different time, a different place, with a different mind, you know. My thoughts are every time you come back as you, you're essentially put in a different instance of your time, and everything's real. It's not like technically yes, it's simulation because all of reality is a simulation, but it doesn't mean it's fake. It's real. Every single instance that every individual is in, they're all connected underneath the surface. You know, it's like having a bunch of bubbles sitting just underneath a plate. You have hundreds of bubbles all disconnected from each other, but their only connection is the top of their spherical shape touching the plate, touching the bottom of the plate. And then you slowly move those bubbles inwards to each other to where now they intersect. Now those surfaces of those bubbles create one flat plane, but because they're all intangible, they just meld through each other, if that makes sense. I hope you understand this. So the surface that was touching the plates, now they're all still touching the bottom of the plate, but they're all connected, making a disc or a square, depends on how many bubbles you have. But it's still a bubble, so they're all intersecting with each other. Essentially, you could see that as all the different people on the planet right now that you're interacting with. Not interacting with, all the people in general essentially generate a bubble of everything they affect and don't affect all around them all at once. And that bubble is constantly in that singular disc or square mode, essentially. Before you're born, you're a separate bubble. But then once you're born, you shift into joining the disc or the square. You know? I kind of bring that up because I thought of an idea. I keep kind of rewriting the origin of the whole universe and the characters thing I want to do for the game I eventually want to make, that I'm making progress on, but no progress on at the same time. By progress, I mean I still have that shitty chess game because I don't know how to do anything else. It sounds shitty, that's mean. It's a chess game. Multiple chess games all in one. But it's a very, very, very basic looking game. Just functional, nothing else really. But for me, that's fine. But it wouldn't be appealing to a lot of people. Just like Rogue, like the original Rogue game with just the different symbols, and you're moving from room to room, and it's procedurally generated. That wouldn't be appealing to a lot of people, but to a lot of people it would be. Same thing with what I have. But ultimately, I don't think it matters. I make it. I put it out. That's all that matters. The feedback I get is oh shit, what time is it? Or what day is it? Oh, it's Friday. I thought that was a trash. Never mind. My bad. Oh, that was Wednesday. Oh, fuck. No, I heard like a loud noise and I thought it was the trash truck. And it wasn't. Today's Friday. Or Saturday, I think. I'm using my phone so I can't tell the time. What's on my laptop? Okay, it's 11:12. I didn't go up to Family Dollar to figure out how to do an application because apparently they changed the way you do it. Anyways, back to the point. Um, the solution is to live through technology. Our bodies decay, our minds decay. Granted, they decay faster and they exist the least amount of time due to what you consume and how much you consume. You know, basically the quality and quantity, or the quality of what you consume and the frequency, um, the frequency in which you consume. You know, so what you consume and how much you consume, basically. If you're eating a big enough meal and a healthy enough meal, you only need to eat once a day. Sleep rejuvenates everything, helps you recover. Cut off the head. Use technology to exist through robots until you can make android bodies for yourself. Then exist through those. Have robots maintain your brain until you can digitize it. Essentially, slowly using nanobots to digitize each neuron by neuron. Each neuron by neuron. So that there's no jump, from person to person. You may even be able to feel the shift, you know? Then the earth can exist as it did before us, before our exploitation of its resources. Those who wouldn't want to would call people who do change that drastically insane or crazy or whatever the fuck. Lots of people would just choose to die for various reasons, either religious reasons or they just don't want to live as a machine or whatever, not realizing that you're essentially a machine right now. You're just an organic machine. And a lot of people would have the opinion of, oh, well, what happened with your emotions? You could simulate your emotions. You could simulate every single thing about you, so that you retain who you are with as much accuracy as possible. But you can also get rid of the traits you don't like. Or you could keep them because you enjoy the unwanted slash wanted suffering of the traits you don't like. Because without them, you wouldn't be you, and you may be robbed of your time to coexist and ultimately learn to coexist with the parts of yourself you don't like. Or you could get rid of it. Like, if you don't like your face, just change your face. Or don't have a face. You could be an android with no fucking face and you wear a mask. Maybe you just like masks. But you also like the idea of having no face because it's kind of funny and kind of cool and mysterious and interesting. And speaks to a deeper part of yourself because you know that you are who you are, but you are also nothing, as well as everything. So you metaphorically cut off your face and replace it with what you truly are, nothing. And you put a real mask on, one that changes with your emotions, the emotions you're feeling at the time and the moments. And eventually that all becomes you. Maybe you keep recordings of your past self. You record your entire journey to becoming who you are, and then you just stop after a point. And the longer that gap grows, the yeah, the larger that gap becomes. In a way, the more of yourself you forget by just not knowing or not remembering. But even then, that may just be a choice to not remember. Because who's to say you wouldn't remember it? Your subconscious would be a literal, tangible thing in terms of you could actually speak to it. Not in some vague, oh, I can speak to it, but I may not understand the messages that it's giving me. But it's literally a separate person that is all of me. But even then, in a way, I would still have that cosmic subconscious still there if the me that exists, for example, the me that exists right now that's talking, still exists 1,000 years from now as an android with no face and a mask. I would have the subconscious that is all of my data. All of my data as one being. I'd have the conscious of me and the cosmic subconscious of the one I have now, without the technology, without the technological addition, you know? Infinity is a long time. We will never truly grasp how long the longest amount of time is. But that's it. Thank you for listening.